Look at your pocket right now. Go ahead. Reach your hand into your jeans or your jacket. What's in there? A smartphone glowing with notifications, a set of keys, a crumpled receipt, maybe a stray coin or a piece of lint. We live in an age of infinite convenience, where pockets are just holding zones for modern garbage. But have you ever wondered what people carried back when pockets didn't exist? When clothing was just a raw animal hide tied around your waist with a strip of tendon? How did a human being walk across a frozen, hostile landscape 30,000 years ago without losing their absolute mind or their tools? The answer involves a recent archaeological blockbuster discovery, an Ice Age survival kit, a collection of stones sourced from miles away, and a startling realization that ancient humans were just as obsessed with their personal gear as any modern tech enthusiast doing an everyday carry review. If you ask people to imagine a Paleolithic hunter, they picture a guy carrying a massive spear and nothing else. They assume life back then was pure minimalism, just a man, a stick, and the open wilderness. But archaeology doesn't deal in movie tropes. Archaeology deals in trash, lost items, and accidental time capsules. And a few years ago, in the rolling hills of southern Moravia in the Czech Republic, road construction exposed something extraordinary hidden beneath a village called Milovica. It wasn't a cave painting or a massive mammoth graveyard. It was a tiny, intimate window into everyday life. Left behind by a hunter roughly 30,000 years ago during the peak of the last ice age was a personal toolkit. The leather or hide pouch it was kept in had long since rotted away to nothing, but the contents? The contents were frozen in time, sitting neatly arranged in the dirt right next to an ancient fireplace and the bones of horses and reindeer. When researchers meticulously cleaned and analyzed the site, they found a curated collection of exactly 29 stone items. 29 individual pieces, meticulously shaped, heavily worn, and packed together. This wasn't a random pile of rocks swept up from the cave floor. This was a dedicated, personalized survival kit. Think of it as the ultimate Stone Age everyday carry. And when you look closely at what was inside that invisible pouch, it completely changes how you picture the daily routine of an Ice Age human. Let's look at the gear. What did a prehistoric hunter consider essential enough to haul across thousands of miles of frozen tundra? First, you had the multi-purpose blades and micropoints. Some of these stone blades bore microscopic impact fractures, proving they had been hafted onto the tips of spears or arrows used for hunting. Others had a distinct greasy polish on their edges, not from hunting, but from hours of scraping animal hides and cutting tough wood. This wasn't a single-use tactical knife, it was a Swiss Army knife of survival. If a strap snapped on your boot, you had a blade to cut sinew. If you caught a horse or a reindeer, you had the tools right there in your pouch to immediately butcher the hide before the freezing wind ruined the meat. But here is where the story gets genuinely weird and deeply human. The 29 tools in this ancient pouch weren't made from local rock found outside the tent. When geologists analyzed the stone materials, they found something astonishing. About 2/3 of the flint came from glacial deposits over 80 miles away. Other pieces were made of exotic materials like radiolarites from over 60 miles away. And one tool was carved from rare opal sourced from more than 80 miles distant. Think about that for a second. 30,000 years ago, before wheels, before maps, before paved roads or domestic horses, a human being walked across Central Europe carrying raw materials or finished stones that they had traded for, collected, and curated from across an entire continent. Your Stone Age pocket wasn't filled with local gravel. It was filled with imported, high-value gear. And that introduces another fascinating detail about this kit. The owner was a hoarder. Many of the blades in the pouch weren't pristine, brand-new status symbols. They were heavily worn down, dulled, and in some cases broken. They were sharp little shards snapped off larger tools, carefully saved and repurposed. Why would an expert hunter haul around broken, half-ruined stone fragments? Because in an Ice Age landscape, where raw stone was scarce and dangerous to source, nothing was ever wasted. Every sharp edge had value. Every fragment could be resharpened. It's the ultimate expression of prehistoric thriftiness. Either that, or archaeologists suggest a more emotional angle. Maybe those specific tools had sentimental value, or reminders of a successful hunt, carried along like a lucky charm. Even 30,000 years ago, humans got attached to their favorite gear.
We tend to look at the ancient past through a lens of monumental history. Mammoth hunts, cave art, epic migrations across continents. We forget that survival came down to the mundane details. It came down to whether you remembered to pack your scraper, whether your spare blades were tied securely in your hide pouch, and whether you kept your gear organized when a blizzard rolled in. The next time you check your pockets for your keys or your phone, remember that your brain is running on the exact same hardware as that Ice Age hunter who sat by a fire in Moravia 30,000 years ago, checking to make sure he hadn't lost his favorite flint blade in the snow. We've upgraded the materials from chipped stone to silicon and glass, but the human impulse to carry our world around with us hasn't changed at all.